Welcome to the HBS Medicaid School Program Documentation System. This training video is for school SLPs and will explain how to use our MSP documentation system. The MSP program requires therapists to document their ETR testing time and their IEP direct service time. Our software is designed to document these services in the most efficient and least time-consuming method possible. We have added many shortcuts, plus continue to offer features to assist you in providing your therapy services. However, please notice that many of our enhancement features are optional. Let's start by setting up a new student. We're going to choose Add New Student. The yellow fields are required fields, white are optional fields. We are going to use the last name of Conrad. Press Tab. We'll use the first name of Sue. Press Tab. Under Date of Birth, key in the 2-digit month, the 2-digit day, and the 2-digit year. Press Tab. Under District of Residence, it's going to default to the district that you're in. If that student resides in another district, push Delete here. Give me the first couple letters of the district they do reside in. Click the magnifying glass and it'll bring up all the districts that begin with the letters that you selected. In this case, we're going to choose Lancaster City Schools. Under ICD-9, if you click on the magnifying glass, it's going to filter by service type, so it's going to bring 29 codes up that are common to SLPs. You can use all of the codes that are out there. So if we choose all codes and hit filter, it now brings up 14,666 codes. What I want to show you is how you can search for a specific code based on a word. So if we want to search all the codes that begin with the word speech, once again we're using all codes, filter. Here are the codes that have the word speech, and here's a very generic speech therapy code, V57.3. We're going to select that code. We don't require a middle name or a name suffix. We do not need a student ID. The Social Security number is not required. You can use a second ICD-9 if you would like. So once again, I'm going to click the magnifying glass. I want to search all codes. I'm going to key in the word problem. Hit filter. And this brings up all the codes with the word problem. And I want to point out this V40.0, very common code we see used for assessment activities. So this would cover you for your direct service. This would cover you for your assessment activities. If you serve this student on a regular basis, you may wish to add them to your caseload. If the student is not on an IEP or not going through the ETR process and you want to keep similar notes, you can actually document for this student. We want you to tell us that so we don't bill those claims. And here is an optional IEP tracking that some therapists use. If you document the total number of minutes listed in the IEP, then as you provide minutes throughout the month, it will tell you how many minutes versus how many minutes are in the IEP. We're going to save at this point. It'll actually take us into Sue Conrad. Here's the 90 minutes we set up. 0 have been documented. Your documented services would show up here. If there were anything documented to date, there has not been. If you wanted to enter new service documentation, you would click there. I'm going to go back to the main menu. There's two ways to go back. This house will take you back to the main menu, or down here will take you back to the main menu also. So we're out of the Sue Conrad. What I want to show you now is how to modify a student. So if we wanted to modify that Conrad student, we would key in the first few letters of the last name, search caseload. There's our Sue Conrad. Takes us back into here where we could make modifications. We would save it again. Take us back to the screen where we could enter service documentation. Once again, let's go back to main menu and start from the main menu. So we've done add new student, modify existing student. The most common thing you'll be doing in our software is adding new service documentation. It is highlighted in dark blue. Choose Add New Service Documentation. It wants to know who you want to document for. We're going to choose our Sue Conrad. It takes us back here, and then here's where we'd enter new service documentation. It would default to the school being the location of the service. It's going to default the ICD-9s that you have set up. Once again, date of service, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, 2-digit year, or you could use the calendar to select your day, or you could even use a couple other shortcuts. Y in tab puts in yesterday's date. T tab puts in today's date. For times, we do not need to know AM or PM, or do not need a colon. 9:00 would be 9 a.m. 10:000 would be 10 a.m. In selecting a procedure code, we've color-coded these to make them easier for you to find. Two most common ones are listed first: individual services, group of 2 or more. This color is your assessment codes. Here are some other direct service codes. And then the blue codes are what we call our 999 codes. These are for services that are not billable to Medicaid, but you may want to document for those in your case notes. We highly recommend you document for student absences and calamity days, but there's some other activities that you might want to also include in your case notes. We're going to choose the 92508, group of 2 or more students. And we could go right to our treatment note and type in our treatment note, or you also have an optional bank that you can build that would have descriptions of different services you provide. And this is designed to keep you from having to type repetitive information in your treatment note. So if we go into that bank, here are some various things that people have set up. Let's say today we're working on stuttering. We would choose that one, select it, and that would print in your case note. You can even go in after that and type some more information if you wanted. If you typed in a treatment note and you want it to be in your bank, you could actually right here choose to save this note into your bank. Progress can be documented here. Even text progress. Not required that you document progress each time. Group size. I'm going to choose a group size of 2 students. The system is going to ask you what the other student, what their name is. So we'll choose another student. We'll choose that one. And there's no ICD-9 set up for that student, so we'll just go ahead and choose one. I would recommend that you go back and set that up so it defaults each time for you. Under treatment note, I could key in a treatment note, or I could even say use the same treatment note I have above. Individual progress could be listed here. And now when we save this claim, it's going to save it out there for all the students in the group. And here's the claim we just entered. 60 minutes of documentation. You would be able to modify and delete this claim as long as that status is blank. We're going to go out and download claims once a month around the 15th of the following month. And that will change to processed. And at that point, you would only be able to view and print that claim. So let's go back to the main menu. If you wanted to modify or delete documentation, once again, the system is going to ask you who do you want to do it for. We're going to choose our Conrad student. And it's going to take us here where we could modify or delete any of the claims that are listed. Back to main menu. I'm going to show you some of these features here. We'll come back to this one. Switch school districts can be done here or up here. So if you work for multiple districts, you can very quickly switch from one district to another. Daily therapy schedule. This is our most recent feature that we've added that's become very, very popular. And the green are claims that have been scheduled. The red are claims that have been canceled. Over here is where you would generate a claim from that. But I'm going to go to, let's go to 1 o'clock. And let's schedule our Conrad to Conrad. It's going to default to today's date and the time we selected. Let's say that the service will end at 2. And it's recurring. We're going to do this weekly, every Tuesday, for the next 20 weeks. We could even pre-fill our procedure code of 2 or more students, and we could even select what we're going to do. If we know what we're going to be working on, let's say we're going to be working on stuttering again, we would select that. And now when we save that, it's out there for 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock for not only this date, but it'll be out there for the next week and the next week, the next 25 weeks. You could generate a claim from here. Let's go ahead and set up another student for that same time frame. Let's say we're seeing Tom, and that was 2 o'clock. And his is going to be recurring also, weekly, on Tuesdays for 20 weeks. Once again, we could choose that procedure code. We could also choose what we're going to be doing. And we will save that. And now there's another student there. I'm going to set up one more student. And this one we will just do a one-time. This student's just going to not be recurring, and we will save that student. So now we have 3 students selected. If all 3 students showed up, from this point we could generate claim, but let's say that this student did not show up. We could pull that student up, document that the student was absent. The system is going to tell you that when you save this, it's going to generate an absent claim. If the student shows up, you'll need to go and delete that absent claim. We'll say OK, and we're going to save this. And now the student is marked absent. These 2 students did show up. You would just hit generate claim, and it will pre-fill even more information. Now it can pre-fill the date, it can pre-fill the time, it can pre-fill the code, it pre-filled the activity we were doing. You could document your optional progress. If we go down here, did the same for this student. So basically what we need to do is initial it and save it. And it's telling us that the code here is not a valid code, so we would need to change that code. Now we save it, and a claim has been generated for these students and an absent claim for that student. So this, once you get it set up, can be a huge time saver when generating claims. Rather than having to generate them manually, they're all set up, and you would just go in and choose what students did show up and what students didn't, and generate that claim. So from here, let's return back to the main menu. The next feature is that bank that I referred to, your IEP procedure bank. And this is, once again, a shortcut. Rather than have to type this information in, you can predefine services that you provide by choosing the add, a description, and a treatment note. You hit save, and it goes into your bank. Now, we've given you the ability to number your bank. What happens a lot of times is therapists get better as they do the bank, and a lot of the things that they want to have access to is at the bottom. So let's say this is one that you find that you're using often and you'd rather it be all the way at the top. You could go here and change that 19 to a 1 and hit tab, and it'll put receptive at the top. This is once again an optional feature that can be a great time savings when keying in your case notes. Let's return to main menu. Change your password. The system will require you to change your password every 90 days, but if you want to change your password, choose this option and it will allow you to change your password. Print and view reports. Various reports out here. Case note summary, a progress note summary, a combined note summary, which would combine your case notes and your progress notes, student caseload listing, student appointments. The most common one that you'll use, and let's do the combined one. And let's use the beginning date of 09/01/12. We'll go 09/30/12. We just want to see this for our Conrad student. If you left that blank, you could print it for all students. If you do print it for all students, don't forget to ask for a page break so that each student prints on a separate page. We're going to just print this for our Conrad student, that we have one claim out there. We'll choose Run, and we should show, actually we have two claims because we did a claim from the scheduler also. So there's the two claims that were documented for that student. Once again, a case note summary, a progress note summary, or a combined summary. Submit a question to HBS. This is a good way for you to communicate with HBS. Give us your subject, your return email. Give us your question, your comment, your suggestion. Send it through, and we will respond to that very, very promptly. It's a good way to ask questions and get answers in an efficient manner. We're going to return to main menu. Software user instructions are out here, line by line instructions, how you do each of the features in our software. And it'll give you line by line instructions how to do it. I recommend you print that and have that handy. MSP reference material. This is a new feature for us. We're going to be putting a lot of reference material out here, frequently asked questions. So look for more information to be put in this section. Here's another ICD-9 lookup. You wouldn't have to go right into a student. Once again, you could just key in a word, do a search, and it will show you all the codes that have that word in there. You can do that without having to go into a specific student. And then the final one is keyboard shortcuts. These are just some shortcuts that we have built into our program. Remember that F2 will save. The Y and T are some good shortcuts too. And then the logout. Logout can be done here. It can also be done here. Now when you log into our software, we're always going to tell you what version you're running. And you can always go in and see what the release notes are. What are the new features that we've added? We come out with a new version over the summer each year, and we do an upgrade over the holiday break also. Up here we have, if we ever need to send claims back to you, with this electronic software, the edits are built in, so very rarely do we need to send claims back, but if we did, at any time you could click on that and there would be the claims out there showing why it was returned. You would review it, correct it, and resave it, and it would come back to us. Once again, back to the main menu. So that is our software program. Don't forget our phone number up here. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call, but also use the submit a question to HBS is also a great way to get your question answered. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great school year.